Hi, everybody. Beautiful day. A little different. Our great friend, John Gibbons isn't with us today. He's in a great spot. We know that for sure. And just want to take a few minutes, let Bob say some few words here up front, as he spent a considerable amount of time with John the last couple of years, the district level and district grants. And I'll have some concluding thoughts and words about John. So Bob, why don't you take the mic? Do him first.
No, he wants to join and just be part of it.
So the district governor, by the way, wants to also join us remotely, and anyway, it's what we're working on for just a few minutes. So that's what's going on too. All kinds of stuff.
Well, good afternoon. From time to time, a person comes into your life and makes a significant impact on you. And he forces you to ask the question to yourself, what am I here for? And then he creates a marker in your life. And in my life, one of those people was John Gibbons. And he's the reason I'm here today. He invited me to Rotary over 11 years ago, and that's why I'm here. But really, I got to know him about 25 years ago when my wife and I, Judy, owned a mortgage company. And we used guaranteed title many, many times. And him and Sherry were always working, always part of the team. We drove a lot to different clubs across the district. When I say drove, he drove one time, but if you ever rode with John, you always said, I'll drive next time. So he was a big advocate for education, clean water, child education, things of that nature. About 10 years ago, him and I started this conversation, and this is another marker in my life. And we talked about child education here, especially as it pertained to a Catholic school. And he picked my brain a lot because the church that I attend is First Baptist Church in Maryville, and we had started a school there. But today, that school that he talked to me about, which is the Father McGivney High School, is standing here today. I drive past it 3 or 4 times a week. It was his vision, it was his passion, and I'm sure somewhere in that school is his name hanging on the wall. His time here was very productive. And for that, I say, well done, good and faithful servant.
Thank you, Bob. That's how appropriate. If you read John's obituary, it's just laced with service. And I encourage you to go out and read that, because obviously that's what we're about. And that's what Rotary's about, and his nearly 50 years of dedication to this club and far beyond Rotary. And that's what you joined for. And we have a lot of newer Rotarians in here, which is fantastic. And many of you didn't get a chance to meet and spend time with John, but he was always one of the first to come up to new Rotarians, introduce himself, say welcome to the club, sit with you and encourage you. And we could all certainly be more of a model for Rotary to do that ourselves. So if you weren't here, many of you weren't during John's presidential year, you missed a great opportunity to have lunch and a nap. So John, I check in with John every now and then. I definitely dug at him through the years, mostly age related, had a lot of fun with him. And I would always occasionally just check in. I've gone too far, John, is that okay? And he would immediately come back with, you keep it up. You keep the laughter going. He liked a good joke. He liked laughter, and always assured me, just bring it on, right? And he would occasionally try to come back, and they were always pretty weak. So it was like, yeah, it was funnier in my stuff actually, because it was so horrible, him trying to dig at me. So another part of John's tenure that we all, when he was president, that we all enjoyed was every week. What did he do? Yeah. So he would take a moment at the start and say, okay, if you all have read your Rotary magazine, and then of course the groans would start and the moans, so I guess, and then he would quiz us on it. But isn't that neat though? Because it inspired us to dig into the Rotary magazine, which is a great publication. I love it when it comes. The day I found out about John's passing, I got home that night. Guess what was in my mailbox? It really, the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I laughed. And then I laughed and I said, how appropriate for that. John always offered the quiz and was apparently too tight to hand out gifts or awards if you guessed the quiz, because I don't remember him passing anything out, or he started that and then he just backed off. But I have a prize. It's pretty spectacular. If one of you can answer this question, you're going to get what's in the envelope here. It's of considerable value, I think. So the opening page of the Rotary magazine always has notes from the president, RI president, which this year, of course, is Jennifer Jones, a great president. But she has a emphasis note here on what was her emphasis note on right out of the gate, the start of Rotary magazine. I know one of you knows it because you read the magazine. What was it about?
Inclusion of
Hmm?
inclusion of more women in the club, young women.
I think that's close enough. So yeah, as it was on empowering girls. So well, it wasn't, you got to it eventually. So yeah, took you a little while. So on that note, I have for you a third place Edwardsville Criterium Festival medal from this past year. Yeah. So. And with as weak of an answer as you gave, you certainly didn't deserve first or second. So third place for you. Yeah, the dash. So. It looks good on you. So, okay, lots of laughter, just as John would want it. So Masanda, is our district governor does he want to speak now? I think we're going to have to, we somehow have misplaced the speaker device. So, hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can, I'm going to have to go ahead and. Okay, you're on. Let's see if we can get this sound working.
Okay.
You guys hear?
I won't say that I'm delighted to be with you all today, because the reason for my joining you today is a very sad event. We at the district level were probably even more shocked than you all were there within your club to hear about John's passing. And I know how that can affect you all, because it's been about a year since my wife passed. So I know that that's a very sad event to lose someone that's been such an integral part of your lives and your activities for many, many years. I joined Rotary in 2009 after I retired from the Air Force. And quite frankly, I cannot remember another person who served as our district global grants chairperson besides John. And as most of you probably know, applying for a global grant is a totally different process than applying for one of our local district grants. The application is much more challenging. You have to do a lot more groundwork to work not only with Rotary International, but an international sponsor to get one of these global grants approved. And John was our global grants guru. He was patient. He was extremely knowledgeable, and he was willing to work tirelessly with anybody to help us nudge our global grants forward. And I guess I would like to just mention a couple where I know that he engaged many times to get the grants going. The first one that I remember was our Wheels on the Bus project with the Rotary group over in Macedonia to get a school bus that would serve handicapped children there in Macedonia. And that initiative came after one of our last group study exchange programs where the Macedonians came over here and kind of toured around the district. And after that, we took on that project. And it took a few years to finally put all the dots, connect all the dots to get Rotary International to approve that project. And John was right in the middle of working through the various issues with that. The second is our ongoing project to help farmers in Zambia. That project is now, I think, in its fourth year. We've moved from helping individual farmers learn about agriculture to helping them mechanize their agricultural projects. And the result of that is not only much greater crop yields for those subsistence farmers over there, but also they have formed a farm cooperative that is going to allow them to grow even more. So those are just a couple of examples of all the great work that John did across our district to help clubs and our district be engaged in international service. And so I know I speak for all of our district team when I say that we are going to miss John tremendously. We are sorry that he passed. And I guess the best thing we can do at this point is redouble our efforts to carry on and serve not only our communities, but the world as Rotarians in John's honor and in John's memory. So I'll ring off here now. I hope to see several of you down at John's visitation tomorrow. Again, you have my sincere and deep condolences with John's passing. We were shocked and sorry to hear that he had passed, but I know that he would want us to carry on. So thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words today, and God bless you all.
God bless you too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that was tremendous. Yeah, great words. So John liked nothing more than a hearty round of applause. He was always the first, the times I'm up here, to start clapping, or when he would clap, it was quite a clap. I mean, he would like sit back here and you'd almost be taken back, wasn't it? You could just remember that about John. So I say he's due a great round of applause from this club. Why don't we stand on our feet and give John a great round of applause in his honor.
all the words that were stated before. He was a great man and a good Rotarian. He will be sorely missed by our club. We're going out of order today, so let's introduce our guests. We have a visiting Rotarian, Rich, is from the Goshen Club. He's also our governor, our assistant. Assistant. Thank you. And Patrick Shelton, you have a guest?
Hi, Caitlin Richard, one of our teacher leadership interns, spend the day today, so.
Hi, Caitlin. And Sandra has two guests.
Yes, of course. Hi, everybody. Two guests here. My friend, Bertels, Ramos, is originally from Spain. Working on collaboration. Another friend, actually is actually local here. Recently graduated, he was on the foundation board, on my board, and also involved with the Latino roundtable.
Yeah, I've been here for talking about the nonprofit I partake is Pieces for People. We help people get computers and access to the internet going to families.
Well, we had some sad news, but with sad news brings some good news. We have installation of new members. So exciting day. Come forward, Rich Walker, please.
I want to add two other remembrances about John. Is one that you can always count on. He would begin his introduction. You knew it was John up at the microphone because what did he always start with? Oh Lord, and he'd boom out this. He also liked to welcome new members to the club, and we have that opportunity to do that today. Thank you. Let's bring down front and join me here. Lori, Scarlett, Mary Sullivan, Gabe Zemerick, and their sponsors. Would you come down front, line up right here in front of the platform, please? I could give you a commercial about Rotary and how joining 1.2 million Rotarians and over 35,000 clubs in 200 countries worldwide who make a difference every day in the lives of those in need in our communities and in communities just like ours all over the world, but I won't. Instead, I'll tell you why I joined Rotary. You see, I was in high school in Northern Indiana, and I was given an opportunity to sing in part of a high school group that was going on a 10-day tour of Europe. We had joined another high school in Illinois to make up this Indiana-Illinois group. It was an expensive trip, especially for a family of 8, and my dad was a truck driver. We didn't have a lot of money. So I worked hard at odd jobs, and my music teacher reached out to several local organizations for help. The first organization to help was the Rotary Club of Crown Point, Indiana, where I went to school. And so 15 years later, we moved here, and Clint Rozier asked me if I wanted to join Rotary, and I was honored. Little did I know the breadth of the scholarships, the grants, and the service projects that our club does in order to build strong communities. And I'm still honored today. So we welcome you to join us to keep building strong communities here and around the world, but your involvement will make it possible for Rotary members to continue this life-changing work. Involvement is the key. And so we look forward to learning about how you want to be involved and help make that difference. By the way, and this is what sort of caps my story, I didn't learn this until about 6 years ago, that Illinois high school was Edwardsville. 1978. Little did I know. But let's learn a little bit about our new members, everyone. Want to ask you one to come up and tell us about your occupation, your family, and just for fun, a little hobby that you like to enjoy in your leisure time. Edwardsville Rotary President Gina Grebing will present you with your name badge, a Rotary pin, and a 4-way test. So Edwardsville Rotary members, let's begin by welcoming Lori Scarlett with a round of applause and support.
Thank you. I'm Lori Scarlett. I'm a business broker. I am a grandmother. I am a former Rotarian. So I've came to this club because I was interested again in making more friends in this area. I miss my old club very much. What I was involved in there was I started by working at the craft fair, which is their biggest fundraiser. My new project was a food basket for needy families in the area. And we put out probably, I think, about 600 baskets on one weekend. That grew into Feed the Knowledge, which they do 600 a week for students for weekend meals. I just enjoy working with people in Rotary, and I hope to get to meet you soon. Thank you.
Mary Sullivan, you come tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Mary Sullivan. I'm an attorney here in town. I started, and I'm short, in case you didn't know. I started my firm here in about 2008, but I moved to the area at the end of 2017. But I feel like my social group had shrunk, especially thanks to COVID. So I joined hoping to meet some new people in the area. Not very interesting, I guess, but my hobbies, I guess, is reading books and working with my dogs.
Very welcome. And last but not least, as we're welcoming him back to the club while he was doing missionary work up in Chicago. No, I'm just kidding. Gabe Zemerick.
Fantastic. This will be a little off the cuff. My dog and mom, they think I'm really funny. So you guys will have to let me know. Yeah, so you can look up my nose. So you guys will have to let me know. The tell me about yourself thing typically only shows up in interviews and first dates. I was never good at the latter, so we'll just have to see, and you guys will let me know. But I'm originally from Edwardsville. I actually graduated from EHS 2013. My mom was a dental hygienist at none other than Dr. Clausen's office. So she's probably seen some of your teeth before, guys. And then Hippo would say that I don't know anything about that, but that's okay. I actually moved up to Chicago really as a product of somebody from Edwardsville. They gave me a shot. I had always been interested in finance, and of all things, I was a SIUE public relations major. And fortunately, I was given the opportunity. I moved up north for 4 years. It was a lot of fun, and then it became very isolating, and I started to miss my family and my dog and my mom, which was great. And the one thing that I really missed more than anything was the sense of community that you had here. And I joined Rotary for such a brief time, but I'm thinking back to some of the most fondest evenings downtown Edwardsville with Chandler Vandenberg, SJ, Rich. And I mean, it was just a sense of community that you could never emulate. To further dig the claws in too, and trust me, I don't know why they accepted me. It wasn't for brilliance and good looks. But I'm completing a WashU MBA. And one of the unique things that they made us do, and this became a hobby and a passion, which I'm always happy to explain. I became really passionate about mental health. I decided that, hey, I really didn't want to open up another investment bank or a venture capital firm. It just wasn't that interesting to me for some reason. And so I took an entirely different route and came back to the community really with the idea that perhaps I could do some good with a startup that would be really centered around Madison County area. And the concept is really just to offer mental health services to those who, A, don't have access to it, don't know how to have access to it, or may not be able to afford it, which we know healthcare is expensive. So that's my story. I'm thrilled to be back, ready to be involved, and it's such a pleasure. So thank you.
One more round of applause and of welcome.
Kind of our motto that we live by. Something that this is wall. You want to look taller? No, my whole life. You're not wrong.
Right here. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome back.
Well, that's always a fun day for returning members. So at this time, I'll share a little bit about my first meeting of John Gibbons. I was invited to join Rotary by my neighbor, and at that time, y'all were just getting the fundraising efforts completed and ramping up to build the playground, the new airplane park playground. And I showed up there. They had daycare, so I was able to drop my son off, and I said, okay, put me to work. And they put me to work with two gentlemen who I grew to become very fond of, Jack Butler and John Gibbons. So we built airplanes at Airplane Park, the one on the little spring that went back and forth. I don't think this is our fault, but I did take my son there a couple of years later, and the planes were in for repair. I don't know if that was our fault, or I might be just shout and get back. Yeah, they are back now, and it was a great day. It was one of the, like I said, it was the first project I did, and it really made me think, hey, we're doing good work here. I'm finally part of the community that I live in. I just didn't ever have the opportunity to help before. So does anyone else have any John stories that they would like to share? No? Okay.
I have one.
Okay, Musanda.
Can I?
And you also want to do your.
Yes.
I know. Okay.
Okay. So as you are aware, we had some citrus sales in December, and this is a closeout. But my John story for that weekend was on Friday night when we were selling the citrus over at or distributing at Market Basket. John came over with a huge bottle of whiskey, and he said, put me to the side and said, "Hey, you might need this. This is antifreeze." And and I was really comfortable getting it from a seasoned attorney in town, because if I get pulled over, driving under influence, then I'll just say John Gibbons gave it to me. Yeah, so that was, and then because we had some issues with the citrus, we ordered a bit more than we needed. So I went to his office actually between Christmas and New Year's, just talking about how to redistribute this stuff, and it was very helpful. But anyway, so my thing with the citrus is we had in sales, we had $71,700, and then in expenses, we had $58,667, and we made some profit of $13,033. So we came out on top with this one. So thank you for everybody that participated in either selling and also coming over to volunteer for the distribution, and everybody else that had us in their thoughts and prayers when we did this stuff. It was actually a very enlightening project for me. Good things I'll just get to do one more time. No, just one time. It's done. So yeah, thank you, everybody.
Well, we were